So with my series of guide videos for Subnautica Below Zero, there was a comment asking for me to go ahead and do a video about where to find nickel ore. The commenter already knows where to find it, but is still having trouble finding enough. So today I'm going to show you how to find a nice amount of nickel ore pretty easy. So first up, where do you find nickel ore in Below Zero? Well, there's really only 4 biomes that you're going to find it in. You can find it in the crystal caves, or as I call them, the purple crystal caves. You can also find it in the fabricator caverns, or the red crystal caves as I call them. Makes it nice and easy to refer between them that way, unless of course you're colorblind, in which case I'm sorry. And both of these locations, while having nickel ore, are very deep and, more importantly, patrolled by shadow leviathans, which is not exactly the best thing to go against when you are just trying to find nickel ore for the first time. So that leaves only 2 other biomes, which are the lily pads and the deep lily pad caves. Now, I personally prefer the deep lily pad caves because there's plenty of other resources you will need to go down there to get, as well as part of the story that you need to go down there for. But just getting nickel ore the first time, you will have to kind of ditch your sea truck and swim down freestyle with just your fins and your sea glide to find some nickel ore. It's also a case that the deep lily pads are a little bit brighter, so the nickel ore can blend in a little bit more with the walls, making it a little bit hard to find. Now, it is important to note you can find nickel ore along the walls before you reach the deep lily pad caves. However, it can tend to be hidden by the actual foliage of the terrain. But if the deep lily pad caves is not for you, you don't want to have to go that deep yet, or you just don't like the look of the cave system for some reason, you can also still find nickel ore in the lily pad's main area. You need to go down into the lily pad caves, but these are not the deep lily pad caves. So to make it a little less confusing when I say the caves but not the deep caves, I am here at the coordinates showed on screen. I am 638 meters away from Delta Station Dock. I am very close to the large rock formation where you drop down into the deep lily pad caves, and I am pretty much right here alongside the broken power cable of precursor technology. And you see there is this little bracket right here, this little light, and next to this area I have a cave drop down. This is a useful point to know because it will bring you down into a cave where you'll find, well, sea monkey nest for scans, but also this leads into the cave system that gets you to a certain person's secret base that, if you haven't gotten far enough in the story, I don't want to spoil it for you yet. Now, going through these caves, you can find nickel ore fairly readily. Not as soon as you get into the caves, but as you're going along. Now, you might notice I'm not using the headlights right here, and that is because if you use the headlights, while it does illuminate things fairly nicely, you can run into problems where it might cause things to be a little too bright on the terrain walls and make some of the outcrops blend a little bit. But if you turn them off, the outcrops are a little bit lighter, they're going to stand out more. So that's my first suggestion. If you're looking for nickel ore in this area, use the ambient light instead of your headlights. So for example, right in front of me, there is a piece of nickel ore right there on the wall. However, it does kind of blend into the terrain since I have the headlights on. I turn them off, now it stands out a little bit more. It's not the brightest thing like Ruby, but it does stand out a little bit more than when it blends in with the background like it does with the headlights on. Now, if you were looking for a super easy way to find a ton of nickel in one location, sorry, it's just really not that abundant in the game. But I think a lot of people forget about a couple of things you can do to get a lot more nickel ore with less effort. One of those is obviously using the new mineral detector, which again, I think people forget about because it was not part of the original game. It's also funny that the mineral detector is called the mineral detector when it detects stuff that's not minerals, like table coral samples. But using the mineral detector, you can find some nickel, though you might get stuck with it being in the terrain where you cannot get it. If you don't have the mineral detector, don't worry. You can get it from 3 different places. One of those being the emergency supply cache, another one being in the caves on your way up to Delta Station, and the third being a Twisty Bridges tech site. So the mineral detector will make it a little easier to find nickel as you're swimming around looking for it. You can also build a small base with a scanner room and use the heads-up display chip to help find it as well. But there is still one more tip I have for you, and that is probably the easiest way to get nickel with as little effort as possible. So if you are looking for nickel so you can build your Mark III depth upgrade for the sea truck, then you probably have already done part of the story, which means the sea monkeys are your buddies. They're your pals, and they like to bring you presents. So why not take advantage of their generosity? So to take advantage of the sea monkeys' friendly attitude towards you once you have Alan in your head, you need to go where there are sea monkeys. Or at least you do that until you get some sea monkey eggs and you can raise your own army of monkeys for bringing you supplies. So to get the sea monkeys to specifically bring you nickel ore, you need to have a recipe pinned that uses nickel ore. This way, you're telling the sea monkeys specifically you want them to bring you these supplies. Now, of course, this does not guarantee they will bring you nickel ore right away, as they will be bringing you any component they can that goes towards the recipe you have pinned. Now, of course, the sea monkeys won't bring you any fully crafted items. They'll bring you the resources for those items. So having the items that you don't need resources for already crafted in your inventory will make it more likely that the sea monkeys will bring you the nickel ore you need. So if you have also been struggling to find enough nickel ore for your depth upgrades and this video helped you out, be sure to hit that like button below and of course leave a comment saying thanks or just saying hi if you want to. Also make sure to check out my other guide videos if there's something else you might be needing help with in Below Zero.